ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL,
The path to Pro League is paved by 100 little steps. Actually, it's only paved by 5 little steps, and FengDa have already made a few of them. Welcome back to the ESL Challenger League Season 51. The Asian Cup number 3 continues on. We are on Grand Finals empty. I'm joined by Michael Yumi Cassidy. It is FengDa and Chinggis Warriors as the sole survivors coming into the finals. And who will be making their way forward into the regional qualifier? That's what we're here to find out.
Yeah, it's been quite a grueling set of games going into these playoffs, and it hung a little bit of uncertainty. You know, you look at a FengDa coming into this grand final where they'd won the previous Asia Cup, and I think we're against a slightly weaker field of teams. That can't be said this time over. They're playing against good contenders within the region. They've still put themselves in a fantastic position where they can win back-to-back cups as well, given that they beat the Chinggis Warriors earlier on in these playoffs to throw the Chinggis Warriors into that lower bracket derby in the against Next Void, Mongolian head-to-head. And for them, they're looking to cement themselves as another one of these teams kind of on the rise, especially given that they've got a lot of pieces that are fairly new in terms of finding as much success as they have.
Of course, as a reminder to everyone, the regional finals this time will be a little bit different. We will have the Oceanic and the Asian teams playing amongst each other to decide for the single slot that will be going forward. Morningstar is already qualified through from the first Asian Cup. FengDa already through from the second Asian Cup, and they're hoping to maybe get a bit of an advantage by winning another one over here as well. Still no Mongolian representation, surprisingly enough, and Chinggis Warriors are hoping to change that. They've had some very exciting series coming into this playoffs, Michael, but I would be lying if I said that they were the most consistent series coming out from them.
Yeah, I mean, just even if you look back at the game that they had against FengDa in that upper bracket, I mean, a lot of it was largely Rooks as our sort of main driving force. Him and Coolest were the two lethal weapons that the Chinggis Warriors had to offer, but we didn't get to see much out of Tikawak, which wasn't the case when we saw them against Next Void, where Tikawak was by far and away, you know, this high-impact player that was making all these moves. Rooks kind of took a step back. Coolest was still a driving force, so it does seem like they are getting these activations from pieces on the roster, but it's not all coming together at the same time, which is not unusual, but they will feel like they want a little bit more output out from Tikawak. They want still that same performance out of Rooks, and if Coolest remains as consistent as he has been across these series, then, you know, on a firepower measure, then there will be a lot to answer for on that FengDa team, who definitely have a lot of heavy hitters themselves.
I mean, if you're even talking about the Coolest consistency, it's interesting, right? Because, sure, on some level, Coolest has been consistent, right? He always gives us a surface-level, decent performance, but it feels like every best of 3 we've seen from him, there's been one ridiculous pop-off, there's been one decent map, and then one map where he's kind of not there, but he'll have 1 or 2 good rounds. We haven't seen the pop, 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 bang, 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 which is sort of what you want coming into a rematch like this versus FengDa, who themselves are bringing in a lot of interesting firepower. I mean, you know, as much as we might be talking about the Mongolian side and their young star of Tikawak, we've also got King of Kings over here for FengDa, and the counteraction to Coolest is another Opera who I've been quietly impressed by. 3GL has had a pretty decent playoffs.
Yeah, no, he definitely has, and he's been one of these weapons I was alluding to, but it's, you know, it's hard to ignore King of King on the roster, because this guy does seem to come in with very important rounds. Been very impressed as well with the performance we've had from Trash in this roster, given that his debuts into the upper echelons weren't quite so great. But yeah, the Chinggis Warriors side just feel like they've got so many players that can have these great performances, whether it's E-Fire in some of these anchoring positions, whether it's Coolest on that AWP. Like you said, he's a bit up and down. Like he can have an insane map and then one where he's a bit quiet. But then Rooks and Tikawak just feel like the sort of playmaking riflers on the roster that do just bring this into a new conversation, I suppose.
I do think Chinggis Warriors comes in with a secret X factor, though, which is that they have the most improved player in the tournament for sure on their team. Because Redka's gone from looking like a coach standing in, which is exactly what he is, to looking like a player standing out in a lot of difficult situations with great reads, great supportive play, somehow getting the better of Urkas every single time yesterday. It's a really interesting situation because and it's going to be very important because FengDa, the way they managed to win out their match in the upper bracket was also to some extent, especially on Mirage, targeting Tikuak and Redka. They were able to overwhelm that A side again and again, and I think it might be a little bit more difficult this time over.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, the two maps that FengDa won, they have to win in OT, and they're really, really tight games. Whereas the map they lost to the Chinggis Warriors, it wasn't even close. I mean, they got absolutely annihilated. Chinggis Warriors on Nuke, a 13-2 scoreline. So when we put it into perspective like that, you know, it's not as though this game is out of reach for the Chinggis Warriors. They know all they needed was a couple more clutch rounds, a couple good calls, and they could have easily have swept that series up 2-0 as well. Hell, even if they won it 2-1, there were more than enough opportunities as well on that final map. So, yeah, there's definitely mind games that the Chinggis Warriors can play, because it did feel like they were playing fairly one track throughout that series. You know, you compare that to Next Void, they were slowing down the tempo, going for a lot of fakes and a lot of cute little plays to try and throw some misdirection over to FengDa, or rather over to Next Void. But when we saw them against FengDa, it was very much high tempo, high octane, quick bursts, pretty much all the time, just brawling for duels. And I'd love to see them have a bit of a mishmash here.
I think the veto shouldn't really change from the last time, actually. It should probably just stay Mirage Nuke Dust 2, and that's exactly what it'll be, and that's what I wanted as well. Now, what I'm optimistic about Nuke over here is that maybe FengDa can come through with some changes for themselves. But that being said, I'm very gently optimistic about this. I've already talked about this a little bit last time we covered FengDa, but I'll briefly mention it again. I think this is a team that's made it very clear that they do not want to expand their map pool before they've gotten the experience to do so. This is a team that will win off of 2-1s. This is not the kind of team that's going to 2-0 you unless you have a seriously handshaky veto, which isn't really the case of here. Chinggis Warriors, for me, any day of the week, will take away Nuke. This match, if FengDa are to win it, it has to be on the slightly buggier maps. It has to be where their individuals can't stand out. It has to be Mirage, and theoretically, if we get there, Dust 2.
Yeah, things aren't looking up for rapid improvements on Nuke. When we saw them against the Chinggis Warriors, they looked a little shell-shocked, very slow to react, unlike other teams that are usually prepared for that in the veto. 0% win rate, but that will be the second map in the pool. Of course, we start here with that Mirage, a must-win for FengDa, it feels like, coming into this grand finals. But it will be that first map, and we are hoping to see some impressive stuff from a FengDa with still a lot to prove.
Kulos tries to get that fast adjustment, but it's EFI and Rue to get the kills immediately. This T-side pistol going well for them, even if there's exchanges back for the CETs. B5P is the unrevealed. Chinggis Warriors should have an idea that the anchors are indeed alive on both sides. Tikuak revealing position, and a Fufu will lie down and die. B5P is left with the kit. That's nice. It's comfortable. It's consoling, but it's not going to help him in this confrontation.
Yeah, E-Fire, 3 kills, just the scrap towards middle and that quick acceleration up from Connector. Afufu didn't really stand a chance with Tikuak spotting him out from Palace. Fairly easy one to set up here for the Chinggis Warriors. Just have to play double out from Con, and they didn't even need the extra man. That E-Fire firepower can be quite devastating. Not always the most flashy, but he does have these great holds, you know, multi-kills on solo defenses.
Push coming up for the CTs is being planned. The flashes are good. They're well placed. And if they can find this AK quickly, retrieve it as well, then suddenly that threat of a flank can also be established by Trash. He's not exercising the threat. He wants to actually double up with King of Kings, who's now taken a difficult to deal with angle. He should come out on top and immediately starting this 4 spy with a 4 versus 3. E-Fire is unexpected though, but he will not be able to get the backstab completely. Watch out for what 3GL can do over here. He hasn't shown himself off, and they might not be expecting him. This isn't his traditional position, and he'll be given an AK as well. E-Fire is still going to be the problem man as he plays distraction. That should be enough to take this round away again. P5P caught off, discovered, and brought down. eFire continues to be that safety net.
Yeah, great opening gambit from FengDa, just isolating a top mid duel. Once they cleared that out, they get away with a rifle, and it actually looks really good because the Chinggis Warriors have no quick response to that. They didn't make fast work towards the underpass. They were very concerned about the potential of a push, given they expect the force buy. And they actually had more than enough opportunity to either play deep position in towards, you know, the B side of the map and cut off rotations, or they could have very easily slinked back without any risk, but leave themselves open to that connector flank, and then all hell breaks loose.
Reasonably heavy investment coming into this one as well. They want to try to push down the T-side economy for that first gun round. But if Coolest is going to get to ragdoll King of Kings, then maybe it's pushing up their confidence rather than doing the opposite to their economy.
I definitely will say, you know, watching that game against Next Void, it was clear that Chinggis Warriors and Next Void alike both had some issues against upgraded pistols and force buys. So nice to see that they're doing their due diligence. They're playing their round out slowly, and sure, there were a couple isolated fights in there, but they did their best to limit their risk. Because, I mean, even if we look back at the FengDa Chinggis game, I'm pretty sure FengDa won 2, if not 3, low buy rounds against the Chinggis Warriors, which, when you're talking about map scorelines where you're ending and losing 14-16, those definitely matter.
TGL now with the AWP was going to be looking to start things off out towards B. It's a fast peek into the apartments to enable P5P, and this is something they've gone for before. 3GL pushes forward past the Molotov. He has to win this duel, and a missed shot means eFire will get the better of him and put pressure on a P5P. This is decisive from the Warriors, as P5P will be able to take advantage of that haste that they try to find, but an HE goes deep, and P5P could not be blind there. King of Kings, a rotation that's good, but a multi-kill that was necessary. Now a Fufu to come to try and deliver instead. Smoke will bloom, Tikuak reveals position, but Coolest is a true threat. 2 versus 1 now. Trash will get to experience that P5P position where he's left completely alone, but this bomb is moving away. Coolest is considering re-navigating to A. This does not feel like the right decision to play one-on-ones potentially versus this remaining player.
He did this last time against FengDa, if you remember, and he ended up in a 1v1 where he mistimed it, but he doesn't even get drawn into that clutch situation. Tikuak finds the final kill, and so the Chinggis Warriors will get that bomb down and still win the round as well. Because I remember watching that rotate from Coolest in the 1v1 last time where they got stalled out on B and thinking, and he actually might have won the round, and then he got into a position just a little too late. Actually, no, I think it was a 1v2. But still, he lost it. That's not the case this time over. He had the extra help.
One thing the King of Kings was very good at, and actually picked up a lot of frags on Mirage especially, was dealing with these anti-force spies. I think Chinggis Warriors have found the solution to it, Michael. Just don't have any force buys.
Yeah, I will say right now it does seem like P5P has been caught blissfully unaware in basically every one of his deaths.
Yeah, some of them a little bit more excusable than the others, right? When he's rotating back over, walking through murder hole, you can't really do much about it. But now there have been enough opportunities to deliver. And sure, again, half buy, right? But
it's not necessarily that he has. It's not necessarily that he hasn't gotten kills, or you know, he's not ready for a fight, but he just seems unaware of what the possibilities are for the opponent, which is far more important, because if you're not winning duels, you have to make sure that you're also not giving away advantages or giving away position. And especially if you're going to be located on what is often the weaker side of the map, you know, the B bomb side is often left to independent anchors where staying alive is a deep priority. That's the type of thing that cannot happen, because the Chinggis Warriors will abuse that.
Yeah, we also haven't been able to see the best from 3GL so far, and with the second goal with the AWP, he really needs to perform.
So yeah, feeling a little slow out the gate. That was not really the case in games we've caught from FengDa so far. Having got off to a couple of hot starts, maybe petered out in the middle section of a half, and then sort of rallied towards the end. So just a moment to think about what their approach is going to be. 3GL back on that AWP. And I am hoping that someone is yelling in the FengDa camp to try and get everybody on board.
Yeah.
It can sometimes be the
But now the
drawback of not
FengDa camp
being...
doesn't seem to be wanting to do anything too different. The most we've seen them attempt.
This can be the problem, really, when you're not necessarily categorized as an explosive team. You know, it's not something that you do often. You know, the Chinggis Warriors, they're used to going with these high-octane plays. When you're struggling to get engaged, you need those types of plays sometimes to get everybody online. And I don't know that the FengDa side have necessarily shown that diversity as of yet.
Fufu's in a tricky position over here. He's juggling with the smoke. Had it been an HE, maybe that might be something that gives him an advantage. Instead, the smoke will do the same. Fufu will prevent them from going forward. And eFire breaking the smoke is not going to be the most helpful. Had Fufu stayed and fought, maybe it would have been a one opportunity, but now he's caught in between many angles and he's not going to be delivering many kills. eFire and Tikuak will overwhelm this site, and P53, who is in the right place at the right time this time over, he's still not going to be involved at all. He needed more from the players on the site.
So this should be a save. I mean, fighting out from connector, the smoke down, AWP already spotted inside the spawn. Yeah, P5P blindsided. So that AWP will do well to get away. Am I wrong in being too critical here? It felt like Fufu was largely alone for so long at ramp. Smoke's there, it gets blown open, it rebuilds. He's fighting players in Palace, and I just have to question, where is the support? You know, they have one player stairs, one looking con, but when he's spotting, he's hearing the spam, 2 players ramp, 2 players Palace. They should be double fighting out from con. Yeah,
unfortunately, when you've got a double con that is very clearly not going to help, we know there's so many players coming out on the other side. There has to be a decision made for someone like King of Kings to even maybe just peek out behind and put himself in a position where Palace has to focus more on him, etc., etc. Then the idea that King of Kings loses the duel from stairs, Fufu was already on an island, then you start filling it with lava.
Well, I mean, they also could have come out of the smoke to bench, because Fufu was playing in front of the smoke at ramp. You know, that's the one vulnerability, is that you can be peeked from multiple angles.
I think King of Kings died before that bench smoke bloomed.
Yeah, just seemed a little disconnected, is all.
Yeah. Chinggis Warriors have been causing a lot of disconnections. 6-0 up now, and they have not really looked to be disturbed at any given point. eFire is 10-1. Coolest is 6-0.
They're loving life. I mean, everything they've been doing, all the calls they've been making, they've been, regardless of whether they've been walking into reinforced sites or not, they're winning the fights they need to.
P5P, brother, that is a long time for the smoke to extinguish the flames. eFire coming in from the side. Trash will actually take him down. This could be maybe a round where 3GL and his involvement make a difference. There's rotations coming in. Fufu's here with the farmers. And in this 1 versus 2, had he gotten the first duel, that second player was so far away, but Tikuak saves the day. 7 rounds now on the board for Chinggis Warriors. Yes, again, that was a half bite, but you see the possibilities and they do not transpire.
Yeah, a bit of a risk to take there if you're Tikuak. You know, when you're 1v2 like that, you know where the last player is, you know your teammate is miles away. The bravado that you have to swing in that situation and, you know, just take the fight outright, it could very easily, just as easily lose you the round as much as Tikuak won it. So that's the kind of game that the Chinggis Warriors are set to have. You know, they've got a lot of great shooters, and a lot of them are stepping up right now. FengDa have yet to really get any solid multi-kill out from any player. Very frequently traded, and then the rounds are done. A bit mistimed. Out with the flash a little too early. 3GL getting a kill through the smoke, and the Roots connector lurk. Oh god, he still got 2 somehow. Connected on a player through that smoke, but bomb site has been conceded. 3v3 in the after plan.
Redka's in a very good position over here. Kulos has got no reason to back off as long as Redka's got CT covered off. Kulos feels comfortably, even manages to get the crossover while the CTs are rotating for a fight through spawn. Trash, the one with the flashes, but he might not get a chance to use them. Redka takes peek early on. And I'm surprised Tikwak doesn't assist with utility of his own. That's going to be giving him very few chances to actually win this round. 1-on-3, the smoke will help more towards the T side because now he's got an isolated duel. 1-on-3, they've managed to make it work for him rather than anything else. HE to clear open the smoke as well. Tikwak has been given this round on a silver platter.
They had an angle to clear. They expected that ramp could be a possibility. They didn't know where Tikwak had run off to. But they don't account for under Valk. They don't swing it wide enough out from CT. They get that smoke down, and it just serves such great purpose for Tikwak in obstructing vision and causing chaos. These isolated duels, even through that smoke, it just, like you said, works to his advantage. And I had a couple of questions, perhaps, about what players would step up. We've seen different ones from the Chinggis Warriors across the 2 series, from the upper bracket to the lowers. Tikwak is here to play.
Yep. And he's also been getting better and better. Had it not been for Redka, he would be the most improved player across the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And what's worrying right now is, sure, Rooks gets that double kill that he probably shouldn't. We don't have the Rooks, masterclass of reads coming in right now. It's just not needed. Chinggis Warriors still has another theoretical gear that they can access. Redka and E-Fire, I mean, really just E-Fire, but Redka helps out, I suppose, in just being a body bag over there. P5P's not been noticed, but he doesn't find the weakened player, so it's immediately a 5-on-1. That's a 15-second round.
I'm telling you, this is a nightmare day for P5P. I could see it from the way that he was moving, from the way that he was dying. This is a nightmare game.
It's like being in one of those dreams where your punches are just going so slowly and you don't understand what's going wrong.
His 2 teammates double apps push so quickly. They get lured into a kill that they think is a certainty, and he gets hit by 2 flashes, full blind on the site, doesn't even get a real duel. Yeah, this is rough. This is a complete lambasting that Chinggis Warriors are offering us up. Any chance, even players caught out, it doesn't matter. They're just not dying. It's another lightning quick round.
3?
That's why he's the coach. 10-0.
Yeah. They were down like 9-3 the last time they played in the first half.
Yeah, they're getting absolutely destroyed, really. And now they're the only ones on the right side of destruction.
It's been a long few days. We have covered the Chinggis Warriors every single time. I think maybe they're trying to make it a little bit shorter, make up for the extra time.
I mean, it's a very exciting time for Mongolian Counter-Strike in that, you have a lot of these rosters clamoring together, some of it because of unfortunate circumstances, some of it because, they're hunting for new talent, some of it is because players have been pulled out of rosters into the Mongols, for example. And, when you get these opportunities to see new players coming up or players that have been floating around the circuit for a while actually strike into a play style that works for them and they figure out who they are as a player, it's extremely exciting. And especially for someone like Tikwak, who is at the ripe old age of 16 years old on the rifle, he is a player that people have been looking at as a potential star player for the future. And he needs performances like this to further cement that for himself.
Unfortunately for FengDa, they don't want to be a footnote in Tikwak's performance, but I mean, even getting 2 rounds over here does feel like it would be a little bit too late. And, well, I'd say even getting 2, at this point, you're looking for consolation. And no one's really giving you a shoulder to cry on. That smoke does not go where it's supposed to.
It's tragic. I mean, I'm talking over this round like it's a foregone conclusion because that's just how this game has been going. They're saving. They're 0 and 10 down in a
God.
3v5 where two players are weak. Let's understand. It's, you know, on paper, if this was a 3-3 round, it makes sense. But you're 10 and 0 down.
Look, I think they're just backing off so they can all take a deep breath and just say, all right, guys, what are we doing for Nuke?
Well, they couldn't have taken an actual timeout to do that.
Maybe they're going to do both. Come on, FengDa. Hit me with the timeout.
Yeah, an incredibly disappointing start to the series for FengDa. And tried to paint this as a must-win. Hey, for all we know, coming into this grand finals, all they did was prep Nuke because of how much they got destroyed on it. Who knows, right? But the Chinggis Warriors have clearly come in with solutions, and some of that has just been shoot them harder.
It's working.
It absolutely is. T5P still on 1 kill, so...
Yeah. 3GL is looking to explore the world, and Rue will be the one to fall victim to it. Is that the first op kill we have from him?
Ooh, no, it'll be the second. You got to kill through.
Okay.
It's a palace from connector, I remember.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
But that was through smoke, so, you know. How legitimate is that kill, really?
Let's not put any caveats on kills they get at this point, okay, Michael? I think we're boss.
They'll take every little win they can get.
Yeah. 5-on-4. These are pretty spread apart. Last round of the half. King of Kings will get smoked off. A Molotov over there as well. There is a potential for him to make a play if he'd like to. Fufu's in a good spot near A main. But for now, it's HE's to clear open the smoke and missing on the timing that has been hit. Coolest moves forward, over and out. It's a B hit to come through. Powered forward by E-Fire and Tikuak, the two players who've been more dangerous than any other. Trash will find out why that is the case. 3 versus 3 as 3GL gets involved. And it does feel like FengDa, if nothing else, will prevent the 12-0. It's tough days ahead of them, but we're going to have to wait to experience them for this short break to finish up. Can FengDa do anything in the second half? Well, let's find out after a bit. I won't lie to you guys, it's not looking great over here for FengDa, but if everyone can summon the hope together, clap your hands, believe in FengDa, and maybe they'll do it on Nuke. Mirage is in a tough place. Welcome out to the ECL Season 51 Asia Cup number 3 Grand Finals. Chinggis Warriors are feeling good.
Yeah, so I think this is a way that your first map starts. You are going to need a great performance out from FengDa to come back. And while they lose 2 players, they do break into the B bomb site. So they have an after plant. They don't have kits here on the Chinggis Warriors, but they've been pretty frag heavy, so I'm expecting a brawl for the retake. Yeah, coolest. I mean, just great patience from the 2 players inside of Market. Trash, last man standing, out in no man's land, and hit by the flashbang, ran down by Rooks, down to low HP, 2 health, and he's being circled by both sides. And so this will be a successful retake here for the Chinggis Warriors. No surprises. They just keep on punching through. 12-1. This is looking like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, the idea that Red Cup pushes up underpass and he gets 2 kills immediately should be pretty revealing to what's going on in this game. Yeah.
He wasn't even really the guy that was fragging them that hard. But he has been a very surprising, competent fragger.
12-1, Chinggis Warriors are hoping to make this a very quick affair, and I think so far their hopes have been well met. Nuke coming up after this was always supposed to be a theoretical foregone conclusion. Now there's going to be a lot of praying for the Chinese side. Red Cup puts himself again in a tricky position around these smokes. Is getting a chance to push forward. A good one for free, but does actually exchange it out for an M4. Redka is just having fun at this point.
It's just such a classic Redka move. It's becoming his forte. It's like, smoke there. I'm either going to sit in it or run through it.
Smoke there. What if I just went through it?
Redka is the Mongolian Stewie 2K.
Yep, stands in for a little while, wins an event. I've not gotten there just quite yet. The win is still far away, and Tikuak wants to make it slightly closer. 3 versus 3 as the CTs are able to recover their numbers lost, but 3GL is quick to refrag as well. This force spy from the T side has been incredibly successful, but if they can't get the bomb over, it's still dangerous. Tikuak even peeks up before the smoke blooms. He's having such a good game, 18-5, hoping to end at 19, and that's exactly what ends up happening. Chinggis Warriors will lose only a single round in the entirety of FengDa's map pick. This is not reassuring in the slightest if you're a fan of Chinese counter.
Yeah, I mean, they won in the upper bracket. Sure, we understood it was a close affair. It came down to overtime, so FengDa to be able to speak that through when they played them last. But this was a complete statement victory here for the Chinggis Warriors. Everybody firing. They had some great calls. They found some weak bomb sites. They abused players that were having underperformances as well in FengDa. And it just feels as though there's very few ways that they could have enacted a proper motivational comeback. I said there was a couple of moments looking at the eyes of FengDa that didn't seem like they were totally dialed in, but that just simply wasn't the case. Tikuak had a hell of a performance. Anytime the rounds even vaguely got close, this guy came in with an important multi-kill that quickly detached FengDa from the idea of winning the round.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like you said, FengDa really didn't feel locked in the slightest. Not a single one of their players gets up to 10 kills in that map, which really does tell you a lot. Nuke hopefully can be something where they at least mentally reset and do discard Mirage entirely, but that's going to take a lot of leadership. And listen, it's good to have that leadership there. Standing behind them, of course, Marek is one of the more experienced coaches in the Chinese scene. But he's got a lot of work to do before that second map, and we're going to give him a break so that he can do it. We're going to be back very soon with Nuke. Can Chinggis Warriors close his grand finals out in a fast affair, or are we going the distance? Let's find out after a while. Welcome back to the ESL Challenger League Season 51. The Grand Finals, the third Asia Cup will continue for Season 51. I'm T-Dom with Michael, Yumi, Cassidy, and we're going to start off this second map with a bit of a game. Michael, I'm going to say some numbers, and you're going to tell me what you feel like about them. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. What do you think about those numbers, Michael?
Yeah, those are numbers. If you were
not
getting
very
them
high, are they?
No, they're really not. They're
Yeah.
really not.
Well, that's the kills that FengDa managed to get on every single one of their players across the entirety of that first map, which they picked themselves. And when you compare that top stats over there, Trash versus Tikiwak, it's kind of telling.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely. I mean, I wanted to have high expectations for Trash coming into this into this series and into this grand finals. I wanted him to perform King of King. I wanted 3GL to have some impact. Everybody just seemed like they were just getting destroyed, and none worse than a P5P that I'm not going to continue to rag on, provided things improve here on Nuke. Not only just for him, but for the rest of the gang as well, because I understand, even as an anchor, when you're losing players on the other side of the map, it becomes incredibly difficult, right? So you have to overreact, you have to constantly look at the minimap, you're maybe not dialed into your own timings necessarily. If everyone is struggling, then, you know, or rather, if the majority of the roster are struggling, it's usually everyone that struggles alongside it. It's very rare you get these anomalies where one player is the only performer and everyone else is, I guess, not showing up. So it was a holistic performance for FengDa on the bad end of the spectrum, which the last time they played the Chinggis Warriors, it was the opposite. It seemed like everybody was contributing, having great rounds and great impact, but that has not been the case here. The Chinggis Warriors are feeling great, though. I mean, you couldn't have asked for more from Tikiwak. That head-to-head was always going to paint him in a fairly good light versus a Trash that didn't step up in that first map. But it's not just him. Everybody seems to be finding their impact, even if you're not getting the most kills. Rook's on his 6 and 7 scoreline. That's one for the Zoomers. He's still able to get a win because they only lose one round.
I was pretty confused for a second when you said that's one for the Zoomers. Then I realized what you're talking about. Chinggis Warriors are once again rushing back out towards Hell. Coolis is up to his old shenanigans. And as he dodges bullets, he might be the chosen one. Tikiwak and Rue pick up 2 more. And where there were some questions about whether or not FengDa can take the series away. One of the questions was also, how are they going to do anything in Nuke? And that was before we saw the 13-1 Trash. However, it starts off strong. Quick double kill, 1 versus 2. And if he's going to be coming alive with a hero performance, this would be a great way to start. The problem is, it feels a pretty impossible journey to make. And as Trash will continue trying to fly through the air, only to find out he never had wings in the first place.
Yeah, timings were great there for Tikiwak. Caught him every time he jumped and couldn't fire back. So anytime he was airborne, or even if you were glued to the ground, Tikiwak was going to put you 6 feet under. Maintaining good form from Mirage, stepping in through that pistol. Him and Roots combined for all 5.
Yeah, this is a reminder for everyone back home. They did lose Nuke 13-2 to the Chinggis Warriors in the upper bracket, but that was also in a situation where we see Coolis going absolutely ridiculous levels of map control, just completely toying with them. That might not happen over here. 5-7s are doing well. 3 early kills have been found. Tikiwak plays for control and re-establishing it, though. And so 2 versus 2 and 3GL. Scout might not be the most useful in the situation where he's been smoked off. You're relying on a Fufu more than anyone else. But is this even going to be a commitment to the A side? It doesn't feel like it. They're going to be noisy about this retreat to B, but the CTs have got very few options but to allow this bomb plant to transpire and then really just pray.
Yeah, they wouldn't have even heard the rotate until they heard the smoke bloom on the lower bomb site, so they realize that they're deeply out of position now. Fufu clearing that top side, just seeing if there's anybody hanging around as a straggler. Gets his hands on a MAC-10, and there's probably a rifle somewhere en route. Yeah, Galil recovered. So they're just going to have to make do with that. Running away is 3GL on that scout. The coolest MAC-10 wanted to receive that upgrade as much as he could because they only came in with so many premium rifles, and the Fufu is going for a damage, and it will not be a round. In fact, the Fufu will die with that bomb, given that it's planted right underneath him. So that AK makes some distance, but 3GL cannot recover it. Only 1 survivor, but the Chinggis Warriors still getting past the worst of it, given that they lost these initial trades to a very active 5-7 on T-Hut, or rather on Hut. There is no
Yeah, look,
T-Hut.
we're already seeing maybe a little bit more stopping power coming out from the FengDa side, which is what we really need, right? At this point, other than the obvious, hey, you need to win rounds, you also do want to see someone like a King of Kings, someone like a Trash just fully activate coming into this game. Because if anyone's going to be stepping up, it's one of those two. 3GL, very solid opera. I've really enjoyed watching him play. He is not my step-up kind of guy.
Sure.
We've already characterized him as a more static opera who can do really well around his team. But these are the two players who I'm looking at to perform.
Yeah, far more a position-to-position type opera as opposed to taking the fight to you.
They have half bought into this again. There is some threat available for the CT side.
Well, they know they did damage, so the economy of the Chinggis Warriors is still somewhat in flux. No survivors on a round win. Well, that's rather unfortunate.
Yep.
Critical miss, and so ramp is left open, and that's going to make things a little uncomfortable for these players. Top side stacked. 4 players on A. When you've lost ramp control, you have no presence outside. You got to make some kind of move, and Hut will be the active presence, but they're still smoked over on door. They wanted to perform a crunch, but one side of it has already been dealt with so handily. Efire losing his life isn't too bad, but losing more than that, things can get a little bit awkward. Escape path over to ramp, and Coolest has the lobby covered. All right,
They had an opportunity over here to do a little bit more damage and put them in a position where maybe you can find the Mac 10s and whatnot. But even so, look, 3 players kept alive. You can reset this economy. 100%.
Yeah, it's still kept humble enough. And moving into your first gun round, those questions to be asked about the players, the performance that we want from the stars of FengDa. This would be a great way to kick things off, because they don't really know what victory tastes like today.
It's a good start, though. 5 versus 3 immediately from the early peaks from Fufu and King of Kings. They'll get a lot of map control from this as well, and likely realize that this is going to be a lot of players that are being dedicated to the lower bomb side. 3GL is perfectly positioned to deal with what's coming over. Even a 1-for-1 would be enough, but he's got a path of retreat accessible to him. Rue takes peek, and he will take the ground. And as well, that's a questionable jump up. Okay. Listen, he gets the job done. He gets the 1 kill, but Coolest and Tikwak are definitely the 2 danger players that you always have to worry about.
Yeah, the 2 set playmakers here on the Chinggis Warriors are in a position where this is a very winnable 2v4.
Coolest has been forced back to the place where there's a lot of players coming around the corner. He doesn't get that first heal. That was absolutely vital. Tikwak asked to perform, gets 1 for free. And now with the peak from long range, a Fufu plays control. The man who opened the round will also close it. Beautifully done for FengDa to find themselves there first, but with the bomb being planted, Chinggis Warriors are not going to be in that critical reset territory.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little scary. I mean, the fact that even lose track of Tikwak, who, you know, they dealt with Coolest inside of control. There's no way that could have been the planting player. They didn't hear decon door open up. He had to be somewhere on the site. The fact that they're prioritizing smoking door there showed that they had absolutely no idea where this site player had gotten off to. So there was a world where things could have gone hairy, but yeah, really nice that they're able to get these 2 opening kills and still leverage that man advantage later on into the round. It's what they desperately need. They get a lick, small aperitif of what winning rounds can taste like.
And see, we're all dropping French words that we don't fully understand, but we kind of do.
Yeah, it's like a small morsel, right? So.
Yes, I mean, yes, I think.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Sorry. We?
So long as we're on the same
3GL, no! He's managed to stay alive somehow or the other. Coolest is the one who actually ends up falling, and Tikwak, who felt like he had to capitalize, is unable to stomach that aperitif offered up to him. P5P. Careful now, Rooks is in a very annoying position.
Yeah, well advised to not keep pushing there.
Flashbang through, and they know where Tikuak is. And as E-Fire and Rooks will both be falling, Tikuak is left completely alone. He's done well so far, but this is going to be FengDa's second round, one where they maintain all 5 players. This is exactly what you need for this CT side to kick off. They've got 4 AKs, an AWP, and a lot of money behind them all.
Yeah, exactly what the doctor ordered. I mean, even if you look at some of those rounds on Mirage just gone by, albeit it was quite a fast map, so very easy for it to all blend together. There were moments where the Chinggis Warriors were just stopping, freezing, and waiting for someone to swing or make a mistake. And even if they were on the worst end of a duel, they were very frequently just outgunning them in those fights. They do the same thing, but this time they stole out outside. And even though there are a few chances here for the Chinggis Warriors to punish, they don't actually capitalize, whether that's 3GL getting caught or, you know, Tikuak still just being a massive nuisance on top of Mini Garage. There were more than a few chances for the round to go a little awkward for FengDa. So it's not only important for FengDa that they get that for their confidence that they're building economy here on the CT side, but it also puts Chinggis in this position where they may have to be a little bit more tricky. They can't just capitalize on mistakes like they did on that previous map.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about when we see, you know, massive favorites come into a game and they're playing against underdogs. Very frequently, they'll force the underdogs to earn their respect. They'll go through smokes. They'll make ambitious plays. They'll punish these small mistakes. But
enough about Redka, huh?
Yeah, that he is the Punisher. But if you do put a stop to them, then they're kind of forced to respect you because you can only play that way so long before you lose enough rounds where you're in a really bad position.
It's also that spot where, in process of forcing out that respect, you actually get rounds which maybe you wouldn't if you're an equal level team. Rooks, however, that's a good return kill. King of Kings will put him down through the sliver. And although the lower bomb site is compromised, there is still defenses available. 3GL might not be the best defender with the AWP over here, though, but he finds that first kill immediately, not feeling shy about swinging out wide. Trash will fall elsewhere, but Redka has been dealt with regardless, and 3GL right now is a stone-cold killer.
Yeah, just an absolute turret. They just kept walking into that bomb site. They have no util, really. They're on upgraded pistols. They're just trying to break ground. The Rook's independent fight around the container is a little bit crazy, because once he gets that kill, he can actually escape into the smoke if he wants to and link up with the rest of the team, because he was the one rifle they brought forward in the round. But I don't know, it would have helped them much against that AWP. 3GL hitting exactly what he needs to.
Everything?
Yeah.
This is already a very good start over here for the CT side. They should be guaranteed to get 4 rounds on the board. And 3GL, you know what? You keep doing that.
He's getting shooting galleries right now. I mean, 2 kills on ramp like that? Can ask for a simpler fight.
As much as we talk about Chinggis Warriors' ability to find a ceiling that is maybe even unexpected, right? There is also a very obvious floor that has been visible in other places. Now, it normally doesn't manifest itself versus teams that are on paper worse than them, but you could also see them getting into a position where they are in a bit of a mental hole should this FengDa domination continue for the next few rounds. Coolest is 3 and 6. He's not at the start he wants. You're not going to see him making plays like he normally does, which hinges for their nuke to be successful.
They're all rifles now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see them pivot into going for more of these burst executes that were so successful, but they may not need to. Tikuak, 2 kills over on ramp. They were trying to go for a quick lobby crunch, actually maybe even anticipating the Chinggis Warriors to go for some kind of A play, but they just fall like flies across the map. 2 kills ramp, 1 over towards mini, and that A bomb site is ripe for the picking.
If there's any possibility for this round to work, it comes down to 3GL finding this first kill and P5P then coming in from behind and winning the duel versus Redka. Now, neither one of those seem to be transpiring, at least not comfortably. P5P is able to reface back in, but on 22 HP, there's never a point in going for this. This could have been a 2v2, but instead, Chinggis Warriors will be able to put them down rather comfortably.
Yeah, not really moving into hunt either. 5P is actually kind of sticking around. Is he gonna dive the bomb? He's diving the bomb. He's sticking the defuse.
He's got the kit.
He's late.
Oh.
I think he was late. I'll be honest. I think he was maybe a half of a second or a second too late. It was gonna be really close, but he did keep the Chinggis Warriors honest there.
And the CTs have more money than the T side, right? Like, admittedly, losing the AK-47 does kind of suck, but also at the same time, Coolest has a lot less utility than he would have otherwise. Maybe not significant right now, but should you win again over here, you are setting yourself up for a 6-4, maybe a 7-4, something on those lines. So, Chinggis Warriors, this round is incredibly important to them. They've already had what is the bare minimum for the T side round requirement, yes, but they're looking for more than that heading into their CT side. That's where they did struggle a little bit yesterday versus Next Void.
Yeah, they won't be satiated, not with the way that these rounds have been exploding in their face as well. P5P, oh, awkward timing. Yeah, gets pincered from both Hut and that player underneath Tetris, and so now Trash at the back of the side, trading well and actually dealing with the Hut pressure marvelously. It's only Coolest that's left as he loses all support, but he spins 180. He hears that player rattling off shots coming up the vent, and he's found an escape path, but he's left that bomb behind.
He might have thought that he picked it up on the way over here, but Afufu now has ultimate position. Coolest can navigate around the silos technically even now, and as 3GL actually backs off. Coolest unfortunately pots into Afufu's line of sight. Despite the 3 kills he will find, it is still Chinggis Warriors to take the knee. I thought with them getting the kill on the P5P, there were certainly possibilities over there, but Rooks gets completely clotheslined by King of Kings. That should never be happening, where he just flanks in from the side. There's no one worried about the outside player who's always going to be there, and King of Kings then doubles up later on.
Yeah, I mean, really well handled. They block off these major choke points. You can see that it's very stagnant from the Chinggis Warriors. They get stalled enough by the util. The pacing is kind of broken up for trading. And that's another marvelous way to start. 3GL is hitting a lot of the chances he's getting on that AWP since he's brought it forward. Oh, this is awkward though. Redka coming out from door. He is being such a nuisance still. Well, they haven't guarded the vent. Oh, it's a very good kill from Trash. Needed that, otherwise this lower side was going to fall.
Rooks is coming out and about. He needs this instant kill. P5P will be able to trade. He's in such a good position. My God! P5P is looking just how we wished he would have in Mirage, like an absolutely godly anchor.
Yeah, he was doing a fantastic job in the upper bracket previously, so that's what made the first map such a surprise, with the fact that he kept getting caught out, didn't really feel like he understood where he had to be or what he had to do. But that is not the case coming into this map. He got some kills over on that A-bomb site on a low buy. He comes in with another important multi-kill here. Being that topside anchor, you know, you can play a lot of difficult positions to fight into as a T, but it's not an easy job as a CT.
This is what he gets the kill. 3GL somehow gets a bit of Tiku. I can hold in the meanwhile, although Rooks has found some space down below. He's forced to come back up. He loses his life immediately as he's trying to get tricky. It's a 5-on-2, and the T's, well, with 3GL having a Tech 9 and P5P on his side, he's not going to lose his life either. This is, again, 5 alive for the CTs. 7 rounds secured. They've done their job and then some.
Yeah, and it's not like confidence is the only thing that FengDa have regained here on this nuke, but it certainly helps. You know, you wouldn't have seen them take those types of duels or fights necessarily in many of the rounds of Mirage. We maybe saw Trash push one time inside of middle, but it seems like more players are inspired to be disruptive and take those chances, which is absolutely what you want from them coming into a grand final. It's what you want from these players to exactly trying to prove themselves further in the Asian stage.
Maybe you're right, Michael. Maybe they did just spend all of yesterday preparing for Nuke.
Yeah, it's weird that might be the case.
They definitely looked locked in, but Chinggis Warriors still have a chance to make this a 5-7 half, at which point both teams can be as happy as possible. Push through the smoke is going to be unpunished. 3GL, a rare miss coming out from him. Most positions where he's been allowed to just hold on have been good for him, but now he's even Molotov'd away. They are closing in onto his position. They really want to trace him down. But with 3GL finding himself the one kill, that gives a Fufu a lot more chances over here down to the lower bomb site. HE as well, if he really wants to pop open those doors. Right now, he reveals position, just trying to be a threat. Knows that King of Kings is coming in from behind. It's already a 5 versus 3. 3GL has made up for his miss twice over, and King of Kings with a wide swing of Fufu there to assist. It's all E-Fire left. He gets his first kill of the half, but it'll be his last kill of the half as well. 8-4, FengDa, what a comeback. 8 out of the last 9 rounds going their way in this first half. It looks like they're in full control as we take a break before we move on to that second. (13-1) in their own map pick. FengDa return with a vengeance in Nuke for the grand finals of the Asia Cup number 3 for ESL Challenger League season 51. I'm Tea Time with Michael, Yumi Cassidy, and FengDa. The Chinese side have found themselves up 8-4. Chinggis Warriors need to find a way to fight back.
Feels like some weird monkey's paw situation with FengDa where, you know, maybe they've made an agreement. They will win series, but they will lose a map handily to the Chinggis Warriors each and every time. Tikawak hoping that they can set things right here for the Chinggis Warriors, but loses his life after one outside, and 3GL has gotten a second. So things are, or rather, 3GL able to trade things out. Redka down to low HP.
E-Fire is not going to be having any weekend players coming out against him. It is P5P with the instant shot to the head. He's had a great game so far. King of Kings, that's That's some of the more awkward movement you're going to see, but with Redka already low, that headshot even feels unnecessary. It is a lost cause for the CTs unless Rooks has one of his miracle rounds. And with Coolest dying, God's help will be needed all the more than ever.
Oh. Just bodied by 3GL, who's on for a stormer of a game. 13-3 after the pistol 3K. That P250 looks good in his hands. He had a kit. Now most of the way in, but he had to deal with what has been a problem player.
There's been a few problem players actually on the FengDa side. If you look over towards their scoreboard, 4 of them all averaging 12 kills between them. This is pretty much done by committee. Every single player has also stepped up in a big moment or two, and it feels like FengDa, this is the performance we expected to see coming into Mirage.
For sure, yeah. I mean, they really take the mantra "win together, lose together" seriously.
Mm-hmm.
This was the case in their last run-in with the Chinggis Warriors, so why should it be any different?
Coolest. Cool down a little bit. Will be put down on eFire. He's been having a very tough map. As good as he was on Mirage, right now he's relying on his teammates to win out this 4-spy, and Trash and P5P are having something else to say about it. 10 on the board. FengDa are lined up for 11. This already feels like Dust2's preparation has started.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as much as I was ragging on P5P, yeah, eFire has had a rough go of things. A little bit, you know, I think it's easier to get away with having a poor scoreline on a T side where, you know, you can serve as another body going into bomb side, so you know, can create space and havoc, and your impact isn't necessarily kill-based per se, but he needs to really have a bounce back here on the second half if Chinggis Warriors even want a fighting chance, because, like you said, that Dust2 is looking like it's coming soon.
Whoa! Okay, if I get a bit of a resurgence coming in, even if you're going to win or lose the map, would be good to have his form be activated just a little bit more. Redka's form is still docile.
Yeah, he quick switched after the kill. He thought he killed him or something, but...
This is going to look sick. Coolest coming out, pushing forward, will find himself one. Coolest is doing coolest things, but a 1-for-1 over here. It lines up Rooks and Tikuak to make a move on. Tikuak plays patience. Rooks plays, well, impatience. eFire is coming in from behind. This could still be scary if they do neglect him. Tikuak reveals position, gets a quick kill, and eFire might have been flashed off, but this is where suddenly Tikuak wants to activate and just get a bit more information. They're very worried about wherever Rooks could be coming in from, rather wherever eFire could be coming in from, but that worry is likely soon to be mitigated. If Fufu spots him out, they will reroute back over to A. And even with the Mac 10 picked up, eFire, very little for him to do here.
Yeah, I felt like he missed his chance. I mean, Tikuak was doing a great job of just baiting attention for so long into decon, and eFire never pulled the trigger on making a move. The Mac 10's not going to serve him any justice. A Fufu gets them through the bad times. 4 kills from him, and so the FengDa good times just keep on rolling. That's a little rough for Tikuak. I think he did so much right there. But as soon as a Fufu kills him, then there's kind of nothing stopping a Fufu turning around and looking back at ramp. He had a player searching inside the sort of secret steps around the vent area. Had to be the time to pounce. And this has to be the time to perform here on CT, because this map will be done. Otherwise, they will be going into with a terrible force buy if they lose this one.
Coolest is playing this very conservative all the way back from hell, worried about a rotation over to ramp that might be required. Tikuak is not able to spawn out the crossover from King of Kings. And although the CTs keep spamming away, the objective has been accomplished. It was to find only the one eFire. You'd have to see attempts like that being made, but not when they cost you your life. If Fufu was ready for the rotation back, and where there's one, there's another. 5 on 3. FengDa getting ready to put the nail in the coffin of Nuke. It's already been built, and 3GL is happy to help them be carried down into it. A Fufu's feeling stronger than ever. 3 quick kills, 16 and 9. Leaves Coolest a very unhappy boy.
He was the one guy that was kind of lagging behind on the FengDa side coming into this half, and he decided, no, I'm going to also match your scorelines, guys. Coolest, nice 2 kills, but that'll be all she wrote. 3GL puts him down, no AWP saved over, and so it will be a scrambled force buy here for the Chinggis Warriors to keep themselves in their map pick. Both teams looking to lose their own map picks in this series in pretty devastating fashion.
I don't know if they were looking to do it, Michael, but it is happening.
Well, I'm looking at it happening.
Chinggis Warriors is writing down to Santa Claus like, "Dear Santa, could I, for Christmas, could I lose my map pick and win theirs?"
They're just trading blows, but not in the way that you would expect.
Well, here's the abysmal force buy that you talked about, but Rooks will be able to marvel in the abyss, at least for the one. Fufu, however, has been on a ripper on this T side, and with this CT's being put to a close, Tikuak's performance, although commendable, is going to be limited down to Mirage. 4-13, Chinggis Warriors do very little against the Chinese onslaught coming out into the second map.
This is like performance whiplash. I mean, you go from winning a 13-1 Mirage where it is dominant. You know, you're getting carried through some pretty rough-looking rounds at times, but by and large, everyone is eating good on that Chinggis Warriors side, so getting little to few morsels on most of the players coming into this map. On your map pick, one that you frequent in every series, the Chinggis Warriors love snapping into a nuke, and instead they get snapped like a twig instead. FengDa doing what we have praised them for in series gone by, having a very holistic performance for the squad. And yes, Afufu did steal the limelight on T side, but the FengDa side just seemed to be so much more... When things are going good, everything gels together so seamlessly.
It's the last map of the Grand Finals over here at the ESL Challenger League Asia Cup number 3. This is another opportunity for Chinggis Warriors to make their way forward to the Pro League qualifier at the end of the Asia Oceanic Regional Final. They've not made themselves a space in that qualifier over here just quite yet, though. After Mirage, where they won 13-1, they felt easy, they felt comfortable. But then came Nuke, which they were supposed to stomp and get destroyed on. Dust 2 time. We don't know where this is going. Who's we, you ask? Well, we is me, Yumi, and me, Tea Time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I hope that's not confusing for anyone out there, because I'm even though I'm involved, I feel confused. And it has been a confusing grand final so far. Whether or not that's the 13-1 to start off the series on a Mirage that FengDa looks pretty competent against the Chinggis Warriors in the upper bracket, or if it's the Chinggis Warriors also seeding their map on Nuke, where they destroyed FengDa last encounter. So yeah, this Dust 2 could definitely go any which direction. Last encounter was a 16-14 win for the FengDa side, but it's going to be hard to deal with a FengDa that, listen, it seems like when it rains, it pours on this team. Anytime anyone gets a little bit of success, everyone else is that much hungrier to also step up to the plate. It's a very holistic type roster that will succeed, whereas the Chinggis Warriors, they've got a bit more star power, they've got a bit more punch, but they need that to show up in the right places at the right time. This will be the final map of the ESL Challenger League Season 51 Asia Cup number 3, and you have to hope that the Chinggis Warriors are hungry for it, because like you said, they've not carved out a path to Pro League just yet. FengDa have that in their back pocket. They would simply get an advantage and also set some reputation and respect to their name.
FengDa won the last cup. Of course, beating up BMZ over here. 3GL hopes to be one of the keys to winning this one. Whoa, they turn around. King of Kings ends up getting 2. He wasn't supposed to be the one that they're setting up for, but hey, he'll take it. Speaking of taking it, Redka keeps on taking it to another level. He's somehow still alive. Now, Rue is the one with the bomb. Crosses over. A side is going to be unoccupied. P5P and Trash to get a move on things, and P5P cannot pursue in time. Decides to try and wait for his teammate to come through. Turn this into a 2 versus 2. Even if it's not going to be a double swing, it is going to be a double play. He'll lock out and make sure there's no one in short. The push will be from P5P. Needs to take contact. Number 1, baby. Let's go. Quick kill found, and Rue is down as well. No kits needed. No problems. FengDa take the first.
Yeah, very clear idea of how they wanted to start that pistol round. The sort of bait and switch setup, some contact on from short just as there's contact lower tunnels. The fact that they come away with an advantage and then just ends up in this weird, awkward brawl where players are shooting each other in the back. They're caught in reloads. The players are out in the open. It did look like it could have gone any direction from there on out, but once the Chinggis Warriors carved themselves into that A bomb site, that reposition from P5P was sublime. I mean, that they would have no way of locking down the long side on the corner, and so once he hit that shot, yeah, very difficult clutch for Roots to win. Force buy here from the Chinggis Warriors. We've seen them on their previous outings on Dust 2. They've been a big fan of sort of hammering that B bomb site, especially going with this sort of crisscross mid smokes, just so they can perform that quick wrap. And they're definitely pacey about this, but they run into a King of King who is very prepared.
Yeah, it was between King of King and Tikkwak, and right now the latter is not really showing up in the same way. Can't blame him too much. It's early days. King of Kings, however, will fall, and E5 is getting a lot of impact early on. Was largely disabled out of Nuke, but despite those 2 kills over here, it's not going to be enough yet. Consecutive 1 versus 1, so opportunity was certainly there, but without the bomb plant, Chinggis Warriors are going to have to reconsider repurchasing. Yeah,
and some of the comfort maps really for E-Fire, it does feel like Inferno and Dust 2 are both ones where he knows when to take duels, how he can sort of hide and buy time when he needs to. So you see him in a clutch like that and you think it is possible for a moment. That B-bomb site's his home. 1 scout purchased by Rooks of all people.
He likes the secondary opping as well. He also likes being killed by King of Kings, if trends are to be believed. King of Kings is off to such a good start, and this is scary. This is very scary. Trash comes over to give him back up. That could have been a kill onto 2, but you're asking for a bit too much over there from E-Fire. Of course, yesterday against Nextvoid, he was the primary driving factor for their Dust to win and their actual placement over here in the grand finals. They still have a lot to do to actually win it, though. FengDa have looked pretty untouchable at the start of this map.
It almost seems, I mean, sort of commenting on it in that first map, the fact they were losing the game 13-1, you could tell that they just weren't kind of on the same page as one another. It didn't seem very cohesive. There were moments where players were in fairly one-and-done positions. They had confirmation on numbers and there wasn't any support. That seems to have been brushed aside completely. You know, Nuke, they were very responsive and reactive to each other. Here on Dust already, from these opening 3 rounds, they're swinging off each other's contact very quickly.
Looking for an opening over here, but the CT sort of strong. King of Kings being put down does feel like a problem, but the problem is Chinggis, his first 2 kills in the game, and they are flashy as can be. Now, with the T's accumulated over here at long, 3GL can still be a difference maker, but he's putting himself in a bad position. A Molotov out the car was always going to be coming through, and now they know exactly where he is. Rook's the man who threw the Molotov, is also the man who's going to throw it down. A bomb not dropped, and Tikuak is there to cover the cross. Chinggis Warriors into the gun rounds do come out on top.
Yeah, pretty all-in long attack, and it looked like the trades were actually going to favor FengDa at some point or another. It didn't even look as though that double swing, as they sort of lined up with one another and gone each other's way a little bit, I wasn't sure that was going to be that bad, actually, for FengDa, and then Chinggis collapsed them. So they might have been able to manage out a man advantage and escape through that corner smoke, if not for that Chinggis shot.
Quick timeout. Ooh, they're investing into this. They have a $1,400 loss bonus. That's enough to be able to buy in the next round. I'm so surprised that they... Okay, it's just a couple of grenades, actually. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know that 3GL should be the one that's...
Yeah, probably not.
Buying the util, really, but he drops it over to King of King.
This is a reasonably deep investment, actually, coming out of it from FengDa. I know this looks pretty ordinary, but you do need to get at least 2 kills over here just to get that extra money from both the kill bonuses and, of course, the overall bonuses that you get across the CT side. Let's stack out towards that A-bomb site.
Also, just a correction, I think it is a 1900 lost bonus, right? In the following round.
You're right.
Yes. They got 1400 for the round that just happened.
It's true.
But still, 3GL buying down to 1950. Probably shouldn't have been him. Let's see if it pans out and they can get anything done. They've already expended a couple of their pieces of util.
They are stacked over to the right side. I never know what the ops goes for. I think P5P should have actually heard that AWP is scoping in over here. He's very lonely, and where I said they stacked on the right side, I was lying, actually.
They love a mid-B.
They do. Can P5P find anything over here? The Kevlar purchase as well as the 5-7? No. Investment gives back absolutely nothing.
I am a little surprised that they go into this round, they buy a trio of flashes, and they don't really do anything with it. I think, you know, if I'm to play devil's advocate, they are hoping that if it's going to be an A play, they can set up flashes and bait for each other, you know, swing from ramp and on the corner as they're progressing up short. Very much best case scenario, but when you're at such a significant weapon disadvantage, you kind of... If you're not going to invest utility, I understand just going for a complete stack. But when you're getting some util, you probably should probe a little bit just to make sure that you're in the right place.
Quick note, Luke's dying gives 3GL $200 extra dollars. Or rather, sorry, $350 extra dollars over there, actually. Because of the disconnect, that's $300 extra dollars that went to 3GL, and the 50 extra across the team that you get anyway.
Because it is random, just to make sure
it's random
when somebody dies like that. So that's a pretty... I mean, maybe he's just Omega brained this entire situation. All dropped over to him, of course.
He has a lot to do with it over here. It is going to be a push out to long. Coolis naded down. He will not be able to stick around for a kill over here, nor is he going to be offered a duel this time. These will reroute back over to play for some mid control into the mid round. It's unlikely to see them fight in a long. A reinitiation over here would be a little bit wild.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the CT sides get boosted with the amount of utility and plays we have on Dust 2 in particular, but that's only really a factor when you have all that extra utility, you know, blowing up indoor smokes, being annoying when players are going for an A exec and getting an incendiary down at the right times. When you're a little resource starved, things can get a little claustrophobic. And so, I mean, should they lose a bomb site, not surprisingly, the call will likely to be to save. So they'll need a lot of success, and they're on the right side of the map for a 3B call, given that the Chinggis Warriors are once again going for a mid to B. These crisscross smokes once again.
King of Kings is going to be in the critical position over here. He needs to find at least the one and buy a little bit more space and time. P5P even comes over, so King of King can come through the door instead. He will die. E-Fire only good for the one, but as Coolis picks up his double, this is now doable. A quad kill required, and listen, he doesn't like being asked to try and make this happen, but he might be the player who has to do it anyway. Bomb can be planted, hyper exposed position, and they are not peeking. They don't want to give him a chance of air at all. They know there's the AWP. It is plant number 3, and by revealing his position, Coolis now has to go back and play super safe. They will swing out wide, double swing forward. They're running out of bullets on one, but it will not matter. A Fufu still puts him down. Really well played in that 2 versus 1.
Yeah, didn't bite. Not a single time. Knew that he had time on the clock to go for those fake plants and try and whittle them out of position. And even though they get drawn out and there's a chance really for Coolis to spot a player coming up that ramp, even if he'd, you know, found that kill, it still would have been very difficult if Fufu was in a position where he could more than likely try and react and run him down through the door. But good addressing of the situation. I wasn't sure that they were actually going to deal with the mid component of the split on this B take, but with King of King in a one-and-done position that looked like it was going to get checked, but then P5P linking up with him from window, it shut down one side of the attack so quickly.
HEs to pop through towards the T side are going to be juicy. It's a good start over here for FengDa already. E-Fire and Red cut down. In a slightly more dangerous territory.
A good move for
this
Trash.
Is crazy from Trash.
I mean, he's a little isolated, but he's got himself sandwiched between the smokes, and so yeah, puts himself in a great position. Does get traded instantly, and there will be P5P to try and rectify lost position. They run through that smoke. He deals with one, and a second is just as simple. They get blocked inside of the smoke. They try to mantle on top of the boxes, and they simply fall flat. P5P does what he needs to, and King of King will sweep up the rest. 5th round for FengDa.
That's the M4A4 wet dream. Runs into a side, dodges a flash, gets perfect spray downs on 2 players coming out of smoke, so we're giving him 1 versus 1s. Trash, I mean, I thought that was a bit... I honestly thought that was a bit of a crazy play, considering how far away his support was going to be, but P5P is able to get there in time because of that lure smoke from the T's, rather than being hindered by it.
Yeah, only able to do that because he knew he threw a pretty deep smoke himself into those upper tunnels. So working off of that gap.
GL, it's not going to be baited into a shot over here, but Redcut decides to just take the deal. That's what I expect for my coach standing to do, right? Just challenge and op down middle.
Raw. He doesn't want flashes. He had a player behind him, in fairness, but yeah, it's crazy how sharp he's been.
King of Kings, though, a little bit less great that he's been so sharp. He's, of course, been expected to stand tall over here. 12 kills found, and he's looking for number 13. He is only unlucky to his opponents, but Coolis, well, he's experiencing his share of the other side of the rabbit spawn. 2 players kept alive doesn't feel like too many, but when you're up 6-2, it is already a great half.
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking for Coolest. Pretty heartbreaking for Coolest. I mean, came out at a good time for the pinch on the A site. You know, his teammates are taking contact on short, but he gets caught by a flash as they're trying to counteract this short play that he gets partial blinded and he can't collect on that second kill. Would have given them a fighting chance. I really don't know what happened to FengDa on that first map, but they are playing up to the standard I expect now.
Maybe even beyond it.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of limiting some of the star elements of the Chinggis Warriors as well. Tickawak has been consistent across those two maps, even if he also had some struggles on Nuke.
Nice grenade from B5P. Pops up in the smoke, takes down Coolest.
This is what I mean about all the things you can do with the util as a CT. It's so annoying to deal with. You don't know what timings the nades are going to hit because they're often just blowing up mid-air.
Chinggis Warriors need a stand-up performance over here. It is critical to take advantage of the damage they've done to the CT economy in these last 2 rounds. Sure, you're probably not winning this in a 4 versus 5 with 50 seconds left, but you really want to get that bomb plant, and you really want to get 2, maybe 3 more kills in. But 3GL is just so hawk-eyed forward. Rook at least collects 1. King of Kings has been put down. That's a dangerous player to be putting to the side, and Rook continues on. Trash, however, unexpected, comes in from behind. USP will put down Rooks, and now you're in a 3 versus 1. Tickawak, another kill would be great. He's generally good with the deagle for 1, but when he's stabbed in the back, that's not going to be possible. Trash providing a lot of long-distance support.
Yeah, I mean, great job from Trash to collect those kills as they drop in spawn to try and get some progress on that A-bomb site. Bit of unfortunate for Tickawak. He thought Trash would have transitioned into a short play to link up for the retake, but he was still hovering around over on that B slope. FengDa are accounting for a lot of these possibilities, watching the edges of smoke, so not getting caught out by some of these tricky plays, even if they're conceding an opening opportunity. They're the ones that are certainly driving a lot of the conversation right now. They're finding the right timings on the blow of the smoke on mid. They're reacting together. It's looking very cohesive. Not exactly what the Chinggis Warriors want, though. Fast play out to long, caught by the flash. Redka leading the charge, and 3 players actually get out towards long. A 4th will join them. Redka trading as he needs to. Afufu still fighting tooth and nail out from the pit. And he actually mantles up and escapes it. The bomb is dropped in a position he can just simply hold, and Rooks had no idea that he had a sightline.
Coolest just feels so blissfully detached from this game so far. 1 versus 2 over here, where he's now being flanked, and he's gotten a few good kills, right? Like, I'm not going to take that away from him, but outside of the collateral double that he gets with the AWP, they have done a fantastic job of not letting Coolest get away with what he normally does, which is late round initiating plays where he's able to catch CTs off guard with how bold and brazen he's being.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about the Chinggis Warriors and other outings is that, you know, they want to drive the chaos. They want to fish for fights, and they're kind of getting exactly what they want, but they're actually not expecting how much FengDa are committed to fighting back. You can see that they're getting scrambled on the comms.
TGL wants to take that initial peek over here. He knows that they're going to be making a beeline for him. Adjustment for the first is good. Repeaks back up for another. 3GL is feeling himself right now. And with the CTs being cut off rotations, 3GL might not have done enough. It's a 2-on-3, and with the delayed Coolest position, this should still be a possible round win, but Rooks needed that kill so badly. A flash goes deep. Coolest will not be blinded by it. Comes back up to A-ramp. That's the only place he could be. Dodges the first flashbang with an HE coming over his head. All King of King needed was a headshot to guarantee, and he has found it and then some. 16-8. This young man is feeling incredible into this half.
Yeah, it just looks clinical from FengDa. I mean, they're doing such a great job of getting the stalling util they want, taking a couple of risks, and, you know, in some of the previous rounds we used to see from them in that upper bracket when it was a tighter scoreline, you know, FengDa were getting punished for some of those peaks, but it hasn't deterred them from trying it now. They can smell blood in the water. They are beating them fire with fire. And FengDa seems to burn that much brighter. And what a sucker punch this would be. You win the opening map in the series, 13-1. and you're getting annihilated. Not only on your own map pick and Nuke, but on a Dust 2 that you know you can bring close.
And what can I even say? I think for FengDa, it's a reminder to everyone watching, they did win that previous cup without King of Kings. They had Marek, their coach, standing in. And that cup was maybe weighted less heavily. They beat BMZ right now. BMZ, of course, placed number 4 and very clearly belong in that 4th place. I think the top 3 have been a different caliber into this Asia Cup. But the idea that FengDa could do it again with such dominance, their newest edition is really cementing his seat, but Coolest still wants one more. Coolest still wants a chance. That HG, oh my god, it's taking away so much from them. Fufu's being set up for success, and this could be a Nuke-esque performance, but Coolest puts him down. He will brute force this round if he has to, but it is still a 3 versus 4 where P5P and Trash have every opportunity to pick up numbers. 3GL plays containment out from long, but the CT's main enemy is not their opposition, it is their position. Coming up from short, they've been allowed to take the full lead. 3GL reveals position, spots out a player at elbow. It is the man up close. It's Redka, who is the true danger criminal over here. It is 9-3. Coolest and company are able to salvage one more round at the turn of this half. They have so much thinking to do in this break if they are to make this comeback happen come half number 2. Will FengDa run away with this, or can Chinggis Warriors still stand tall? Let's find out after a quick one. The Warriors forced themselves into contention for the last half of the ESL Challenger League Season 51 Asia Cup Grand Final. FengDa, however, have come through looking ridiculously good, and I don't think I was ready for that. I'm T-Time with Michael Yumi Cassidy. We are watching A potential repeat win, but FengDa still have to cross that finish line.
Yeah, the strong winds of China have made this a fast final, whether it's been them on the receiving end of brutality or them delivering it. But this map is looking like they are going to deliver more of those goods. It's all on the Chinggis Warriors to step up to the plate and offer us up something that we haven't seen consistency from either team really so far. They need to start this comeback.
Redka and Rooks being put in a very difficult position, but with Redka collecting that first kill, they have no idea where Rooks is going to be over here as well. They have to be extra careful because they have the bomb, so you best believe they're going to clear out every angle, but Rooks has more than a fair fight. He's got an unfair one. Why is it unfair? Because he's just that good right now. 2 versus 5, and Chinggis Warriors have done the dirty work. They only need to wipe out the stains. 3GL is unfortunately about to find out that he is one of them.
45 seconds. This will be a full 1 versus 5, and you can see the Chinggis Warriors are opting not to fight him. They know that he has to go and retrieve that package. It's out on long. So with 30 seconds remaining, I mean, 3GL has to consider all possibilities, but may have just caught a glimpse of a player inside a pit. Good headshot onto Coolest, and you can see they're running to try and take deeper positions. Try and play for that package as long as you possibly can. 3GL will succeed in finding the package, but yeah, running back to that bomb site had to be his next objective, and even then, 13 seconds, I'm not sure that he would have had time. There were players that were going to serve as significant speed bumps. Great pistol round out of Rooks, though.
Oh yeah, he does everything over there. Fantastic stuff. Redka, of course, helping out a little bit with the distraction. Had that been 3 players, it might end up being a slightly wider swing and whatnot, but you know what? It's good stuff for Chinggis Warriors to put themselves back in relevance. I'm surprised to see FengDa coming out into this with a full force buy. And leave some money on 3GL, despite him having a scout and a couple of flashes. He will not invest into Kevlar.
Well, if he misses his shot, he's more than likely going to get hard swung, right? So just hit the shot. Flashes to facilitate, great space. They've got enough util to actually threaten a proper execute. They could even try and deploy the crisscross that Chinggis Warriors are so fond of. Lurk smoke on B and a mid B smoke as well. Redka does well to block it. One smoke left in the tank, and looking like they're going to try and threaten an A attack. Well, this is the weaker of the 2 bomb sites. You see Redka has cleared things out towards middle. As he starts to gravitate back through spawn, they'll realize that their timing to go is likely now.
HE is good. Oh, that could be a very good HE back over towards Tikuak, but Tikuak avoids most of the damage, is able to come through with 2 kills right back into it, ducks away from danger, will be able to retreat into the safety net of Redka, and as Redka starts to push forward, that safety net feels a little bit unsafe if you're on the receiving side of it, smothers them to death with his loving coaching arms.
Yeah, I mean, that is, again, these are classic Redka moves, and we harp on him mainly because, yes, he is the coach, but he does play very erratically, especially when there are smokes down. He sees that as an open opportunity. A little surprising he gets away with 3 kills there, because he actually failed the jump at first to try and support Tikuak, and so he made a very audible step on those boxes, but still nobody turned to look at it, maybe just too much chaos in the comms. Back-to-back rounds. All got to start somewhere. Oh
well,
God.
it started somewhere.
Yeah, he was not ready for that whatsoever. 3 players running at him through those mid doors. Dies to mainly Glocks. 3GL on that 1 HP.
At the end of the day, as long as Tikuak doesn't get caught out of a head, this should be fine, but he's getting dinked. He's getting scared, and P5P will put him down in the ground. That M4 at least not recoverable, but it is a 5-on-3. Regardless of the HP on these T-side players, this is risky. King of Kings does get taken down, but coming through middle is Trash, and Trash is now dealt with. He had his opportunities.
2 players so low.
The Kevlar, their weapons, they do not matter, but a Fufu taken down. Well,
What?
That's not good. Coolest, my brother in Christ. He will be able to get the defuse in the end at the very least. The T side cannot believe what they've been able to get away with, and I can't either.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably even just be disappointed that they didn't finish off the job. They knew that a couple players would have been dinked as they came into the site. They knew the players were weak. They even got bit of a helping hand from Coolest, who collected on one of those low players. But yeah, he makes up for what could have been a very bad situation. They do still finish off that retake. But yeah, it's kept the CT money at least a little weaker, given that they had a fairly clean round just gone by. And moving into the first investment here for FengDa, they have that 3GL AWP and every bit of util they could ask for. No early commitments here from FengDa. No plays for long. No significant resource dumping either in their map control. Playing it slow and steady. Now, Tikawak had some issues yesterday against Zesta on the long side. Like a couple of deep peaks. And yeah,
my god.
He just gets a little impatient. Fufu.
Repeat from Coolest. That's so bold. I guess if he's not going to do it, who will?
Yeah, need that added layer of security because they know that there's no additional rotates that can come through.
She will reveal where Redka is likely playing from. He does go back over to CT, so if this ends up being a mid to B commitment, then Redka's in a very good position for it. Unfortunately, it does look like it could also be just as much of a fake. Flashbang forward, push through. They are blind as a bat. And Redka's found the 1-for-1 that he desperately needed. Now this is a 2 versus 3, more than defendable for the CT defenders, especially with Coolest coming in from behind and watching out for 3GL's position. This is practically a 2-on-2. Coolest will even be able to force them away. They're trying to push him down, but in wasting so much time, Coolest almost wins around. The problem is the bomb was making its way over through CT. It can be planted. They don't realize it. They're backing off, quickly giving each other the call that, no, wait, this is still on. Flashbang to go through. P5P dodges it, takes the high ground, playing like he's Obi-Wan, but does he have the force in him? It is not going to be a kill. Found. Good for one. Trying to back off. It's not enough. E-Fire puts them to bed. We'll find round number 7 for the Chinggis Warriors.
Oh, it is incredibly scrappy. It's a bit chaotic. The fact they found an escape path after the B bomb site seemed to be on lock between Rooks and E-Fire. By dealing with Coolest, yeah, they created a bit more chaos, but so pivotal that Coolest bought as much time as he did. He started calling over his teammates. He knew he needed support, and they get the trade onto 3GL before he can make this a proper 2v2 post plant. Unlucky for P5P, he doesn't get off that box quite quick enough after finding the one headshot he was hunting for. But that's why E-Fire is one of the strong anchors of the Chinggis Warriors. The way he needed to on B, and then also delivers in the clutch. Timeout for FengDa. Maybe a little concerned that the lead they come into this half with is unfortunately falling away from them. See, it's close to a 2-round gap. Started at 6.
This would be very scary for FengDa if they do not win this gun round over here. As much as we have praised them, as much as we have talked about their various strengths, they are very young players.
Yeah, and also just inexperienced. Even the players that aren't necessarily the youngest, right? They don't have the same level of playing experience that the Chinggis Warriors have on their roster.
If you're expecting a comeback, it should be from the other side, but preventing the comeback is still possible over here. This round will be critical to that. Cross smokes this time are going to be a fake. They're hoping that Redka is going to try and push forward. That's been a consistent factor. But the long smoke is well timed and Tikawak is well placed. A flashbang to push through. That is perfection. Even a 1-for-1 is going to be good enough. They know There are multiple players where that came from. They are reinforcing this A bomb site. They have no reason to rotate away. In fact, the B site players are coming back in. The peek from Redka is punished, and Coolis now feels the pressure of trying to peek into King of Kings, who barely wins that fight. The T side might have just done it. Rooks and E-Fire have every reason to back off over here. As long as Rooks cannot put together a big kill, or E-Fire's grenade doesn't get a frag of its own, the CTs have very good reason to just back off. E-Fire...
Oh, God.
Well, no, that smoke's not been able to land properly. It does end up covering up Trash, but it works against him more than for him. And now the CTs will commit. This is still a great position for King of Kings. 3GL only has to focus down on one, but he decides to look for Rooks instead. Rooks wasn't expecting the peak to come through from the side, and E-Fire, although can trade, this is right down to the AWP play. It is enough. King of Kings will do it all with a quick triple. 20 kills to his name. 10 is found, but boy, is it tough to get there.
He was low health, an AWP in play. He had to try and take a chance, take a shot, and he catches him blissfully unaware. Fantastic work. It gets so awkward with Trash kind of in no man's land, trying to keep eyes on elevator, any sort of spawn crawl up, as well as the short side. And once E-Fire got that snapshot kill, it looked like he might have had the edge, but King of King in an unexpected position with that AWP. And so that dry spell coming into this T side comes to a close. I think they picked this guy up seemingly out of nowhere. King of King has been a really impressive player to watch. I might have gotten that last kill on the AWP, but he is predominantly a rifler, and you can see the types of shots he hits. Doesn't deter people from picking up the AWP. We know that.
I don't think he identifies as a rifler. I think he identifies as a god gamer, actually, Michael.
Yeah, well, that's only for the select few, you know?
Yeah.
Some of the greats all do it. Some of the greats AWPers even want to just be great riflers, too. I wonder if somebody's slammed their mouse a little too hard.
I'd believe it, to be honest.
I would too.
But we are at the stage where FengDa, look, it's very much a tipping point for every round at this point, right? Like, if they win this one, they almost guaranteed win the grand finals. But Chinggis Warriors, it's moments like this where they get up to something different. I don't look to Coolis for that. I look to Coolis for a mid-round play, right? Yes, he's always good at being able to pull out something early on with the AWP especially. But over here on the CT side of Dust 2, I need Rooks to activate. Tikuak is showing his youth right now. He is struggling, and not always his fault. I need Rooks to activate. I need Rooks to make a play. Hell, man. Redka, do something through his smoke. This buy is not conducive to winning the round without unorthodox measures being taken.
Yeah, I mean, we said it in the game against Next Void. Sometimes it feels like the more limitations the Chinggis Warriors are forced into, the more they're forced to be creative about their approach. And it actually often what does work out as well. So they'll realize that this is a key inflection point in this half. They are hungry for that comeback, but they don't want it stopped by just a simple late round clutch.
Tikuak is about to be found out completely alone. He has no way of backing off over here. He's going to be completely blinded. This is just not good enough.
I don't really understand why he's playing for one and done fights on long like that. There were no surprises.
They haven't heard Coolis for burning. Now the flashbang out of smoke. He's hoping to buy himself time. Instead, it is just wasted utility. The T's are continuing to climb up. Rooks comes alive with one. Brings it back to a 3 versus 3, and flashes from the CTs are serving to delay, allow Redka to get into position to make a play. And as he hunts for that play, it is Trash who is hunting for him instead. 3-on-2, and the CT's not in position to retreat. They feel like they have to go on, and as they do, they will lose their lives in pursuit of a round that feels like it has escaped them already. E-Fire loses his duel. On top of it all, it is falling apart for the Warriors. They are left with scraps to fight a war that they need guns for.
Yeah, and where is that creativity? I mean, everyone is playing independent, isolated fights. There's no information gathering. Everyone is static on bomb sites. They are waiting to see what FengDa get up to. And, you know, the one ace in the hole that was technically coolest in at Car, but it's just not enough. And I understand I was about to rag on him as the action was happening, but Tikawak solo on long like that when things are not blocked or not smoked, taking a massive gamble by just playing effectively a one-and-done position.
Woo!
Some players have gone to sleep. Some players have awoken. G5P is definitely one of them. Does well to find a second as well. And that the Chinggis Warriors side just feel as though they are conceding to their fate.
I don't think they've felt like they are in control of their fate for all of 2 maps now.
Yeah, but try not to act so resigned to it.
It is one thing to see a tsunami, it is another entirely to try and punch it down. Right now, FengDa are the wave that cannot be stopped. And Coolest is experiencing that firsthand.
And there have been close moments. There have been close rounds that have been squeaked out on both sides, whether, you know, it's EFAR collecting on the trade kill over on that A side, or whether it's King of King hitting the shot against EFAR again. There are these moments that definitely could have swung Chinggis Warriors back into the game, but as a whole, it's clear to see that FengDa, after a very, very disappointing map 1, have simply been the better team this grand final.
And obviously a lot of love going out to Marek for whatever he's been able to conjure up since that first map loss, because this is also a team with youth on it, I will reiterate. They have seen their fair share of banana peels, they've picked them up and thrown them in the garbage bin. And Chinggis Warriors, this is their last chance in every meaning of the word. They have rifles, maybe not enough, but it's what they'll be dealt. They cannot change the hand in front of them. They can only try and take down their opponents with it. King of Kings leaving himself alone to try and lurk forward, but as E-Fire is good for 1, he loses his life and his teammate will follow through. It is kills on kills, and every time the scoreboard lights up, it is orange and orange alone. Coolest and Tikawak, 2 versus 4, a flash out from Coolest. He pushes back the window, takes the charge forward, spotted out as the resources are called back over into the site itself. It is 13 for FengDa. They are your back-to-back Asia Cup champions. Chinggis Warriors will not be able to provide Mongolian representation in that qualifier, not by winning, not quite yet.
Yeah, FengDa playing a very, very competent game. I mean, the 2 maps that they win, they barely allow Chinggis an inch, and they play so well together and off of each other. They reacted quickly. Even that last round, it felt like everybody was in the right place. They understood what timing to hit. I mean, for a project that is largely new, the majority of these players have not had more than, 6 months on the roster, and for them to be able to piece this all so well together, win these back-to-back cups, it is a huge mark of accomplishment, and certainly sets the rest of the scene on notice that FengDa are real contenders that are on the climb.
And what a revelation King of Kings has been. Now listen, we haven't been able to see him versus the Tylus, the Rare Atoms, the FlyQuest of the world, sure, but this is still an absolute statement start to what is likely going to be an illustrious career if he keeps on playing like this underneath the guidance of Marek. And look, King of Kings is the obvious player to point out and how well he did, right? But let's also not forget Mirage. B5B starts off with a 0.28 rating, and Dustu right now, he's arguably the second most important piece for this team going out of it. Fantastic recovery from this entire team from Mirage onwards, but it feels like, especially for P5P, it's a bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he don't look like a slouch in most of their other outings, and for him to have disappeared, and it wasn't just solely him. The rest of the squad was also struggling, but it certainly doesn't help when an anchor can't get any level of output, because if both bomb sites are weak, then everywhere is weak. So, yeah, I mean, did a great job bouncing back, that's for sure.
Yes, and FengDa, of course, having taken away the championship over here, will be able to walk back with their heads held high. If King of Kings stays in this team, which I'm really hoping he does, this is going to continue to be a serious contender within this Asian region to actually break into that top echelon, to actually break into that major contention spot where they really want to continue fighting forward. FengDa, however, for now, they can bask in their victory, as they will be potentially participating again in Cup number 4. We're not sure about that just quite yet, but of course, as written on the screen, Cup number 4 will be coming back in early May. Asian Counter-Strike continues to succeed.
Just quickly to note at the very end here is that, listen, if they do encounter each other in that next Cup, I hope that the Chinggis Warriors have their full 5, that Red Cut isn't called into the server again, because both times that FengDa have been able to win these cups, one time they had a coach, one time they had the full roster. The Chinggis Warriors will get a chance like that in Cup 4.
Well, let's see whether or not the Chinggis Warriors can come back, whether Mongolian representation can step up into Cup from before. Make sure you're tuning back in for that early on in May. In the meanwhile, this is ESL, baby. There's Counter-Strike all the time. Make sure you're tuning into every single big event coming over and out. For now, though, we've got to be signing off. I'm Tea Time. It's Michael Yumi Cassidy, and we're going to see you guys when we see you guys.
Bye-bye.